Okay, so I've already done my basic face makeup, like my concealer, foundation, etc. The only thing that I haven't done is concealer underneath my eye, and I will wait so that way if there's any fallout, I can go ahead and apply that and clean everything up. So the very first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to take the e.l.f. Eyelid Primer. This is in the shade Sheer. And I'm going to go ahead and pat this bad boy on my eyelid and my crease and just a little bit underneath my brow. What I'm going to do to blend that in is I'm actually going to take a brush to do that. I'm just going to kind of like pat that in and make sure that the line is perfect right underneath my brow. I will be applying another type of primer on as well. I've noticed that the other primer, pardon me, the other primer that I will be using doesn't work that well by itself, but it actually gives me like a more even colored canvas. So I will be applying it right on top of this product. So for that, I'm going to go ahead and grab it's the e.l.f. Eye Primer and Liner Sealer. I will be using the Prime side. And taking that same brush, I'm going to grab some of that product here. Again, by itself, it doesn't really do too well of a job just because it is kind of like an oil base and I have oily eyelids. So when I use the regular e.l.f. eyelid primer first, it keeps everything in place, and then this actually helps make everything like the same color because I do have a lot of veins and discoloration in my eye area here. So what I will be using is an Urban Decay eyeshadow in Shakedown, which is a matte kind of cool brown. I will be using this in my crease. I will also be using the e.l.f. eyeshadow palette. It's the Prism palette in the shades Sunset. So this is what I'm going to be using. I will actually be using, let's see here, 3 shades from this palette. I'm going to use this brown shade right here. I will also be using this white, and I'll be using this dark plummy brown as well. I hope you guys can see that. I'm not sure if that showed up, but that is what I'll be using. So first off, I'm going to go ahead and take a 217 brush. I'm going to grab some of Shakedown, and I will be applying that to the crease. And what I'm going to do is kind of like bring that color straight out just because my eyelid shape here. So I'm going to bring it out a bit, and I will be applying a little bit to the outer edge of my eye as well. Again, it doesn't have to be perfect, guys. Basically, we are going to be cleaning it up, so it's really not a big deal. So you just kind of want to like put that in the crease for a transition and kind of bring it straight out. And I have a crazy lower lash that's just like driving me nuts. Okay, so what I'm going to go ahead and do next is take a flat brush here. It's just a flat eyeshadow paddle brush. And I'm going to take this shade in here. It's kind of like, it's a light brown, but it almost has a slight pink to it. So I will be taking a wet brush, so I'll be using the e.l.f. Makeup Mist and Set on one side of my brush here. I will be applying this color right here on the inner corner and outer edge of my eye. I'm going to leave the center pretty much bare. I will be applying another color there. So this is so pretty. Now, while using this wet, you do want to try to keep your eye closed so that way it can dry for as long as you can. I would say at least a minute. So I'm going to let that do its thing. And while I'm leaving that eye shut, I will be taking the same brush, but I'm going to use the other side of the brush here. I'm going to get it wet as well. And I'm going to grab that like really creamy, like pink white ivory shade right here. And I'm going to pat that right there directly in the center. That way in the light, I mean, it's kind of like, I guess, a halo look, but in the light, it's going to look as if it's like duochrome, even though it's not. And yes, I want to go ahead and let that dry. Since I'm waiting for that to dry, I'm going to go ahead and take an eyeshadow from e.l.f. This is the Mineral Pressed eyeshadow, and it's in the shade Beauty Queen, which is a very pretty color. It's actually very pigmented, and this is going to work as a highlight. So I will be applying that right underneath my eyebrow, just to kind of help make everything tie together and pop. And I'm going to go ahead and take that same 217 brush that I used earlier and grab another shade here. And the shade that I'll be using this time is right next to this purple shade. So it's kind of like a mauvey brown with like, I don't know, it's got like a really neat hint of plum. I'm using it dry, and I'm only using a little bit. So I'm going into the crease with that very, very lightly. Now, of course, we want to tone that down a bit. So what I'm going to do next is take a pencil brush here, and I'm going to grab that same Urban Decay shadow that I used in Shakedown. And let's see here. I'm going to go ahead and go along the crease just to kind of darken it up. That way the crease isn't extremely shimmery. We want a little bit of shimmer, but mainly we want the eyelid to be shimmery. Just because, you know, like the matte, I don't know, the matte crease and the matte highlight is really going to make the whole like shimmery eyelid thing just gorgeous. It's going to bring it to the forefront. It's going to be beautiful. And yeah, so what I'm going to do is just kind of blend it a little bit upwards and outwards. It doesn't have to be perfect, because I'm going to go ahead and take a big fluffy brush. And this is a generic MAC one as well, basically. This is a 224. And I'm going to point my brush down. That way I have a little bit more blending power. And I'm going to soften that edge into that highlight. Like so. Alright, now I got a little bit on the inner corner of my eye, which isn't a big deal, because what I'm going to go ahead and do next is take the e.l.f. Jumbo eyeshadow in the shade Little Miss Thing. And I'm actually going to just put that right there on the inner part of my eye. That way it adds a little bit more to the look without taking anything away. So, pretty nice. Now what I'm going to go ahead and do, this is going to be really fun. I'm going to take, where is it at? An Urban Decay eyeliner, and this is in the shade Faint, which is a nice light matte brown. I will be applying it right underneath my lower lash line. Like so. And then I'm going to take that same pencil brush, guys, and what I'm going to do with that is just kind of smudge it. So it doesn't have to be perfect, but it does need to be smudged. we are going to apply another color right on top of it. So, like that. Now, the color I'll be applying on top is the same one we used in the crease, of course. It's Shakedown again. So I'm going to go ahead and just seal the deal there by patting that right on top and then kind of blending it and smudging it. So that way it looks a little bit more smoky on the lower lash line. And then I'm going to line my waterline here using the Stila Smudgestick waterproof eyeliner in Damsel. This is like my ultimate favorite dark brown eyeliner of ever. I love it for my waterline. I love it for tight lining. Like, I've had this one on for about an hour. It hasn't even smudged. It's not moving, which is phenomenal. Because for some reason, even with my Urban Decay liners, if I apply it on my waterline in like an hour, it's off. So these are amazing. They are like my all-time favorite waterline eyeliners ever. All right, so there we go. I've applied that. Now I'm going to go ahead and do my eyeliner off camera. What I will be using is the Colourpop gel liner, or cream color liner, and this is in Swerve, which is just basically a black. So I'm going to go ahead and do that, and then I'll be right back. Okay, so I went ahead and did the whole like wing thing. Wing thing, I like that. Anywho, what I'm going to go ahead and do next is apply my favorite mascara. Of course, that's the e.l.f. Mineral Infused Mascara because it's amazing. And I'm going to go ahead and coat my lashes with that. Now, I'm going to have a little bit of fun, of course. I'm going to do my contour. And for that, I'll be using the e.l.f. contour palette. This is the powder one. And I'm just going to use the e.l.f. small tapered brush for this. So I'm going to grab the darkest shade in this bad boy right here and kind of shape my face real fast. I've already done this side, so just to kind of save time. I will be using two different concealers for that. They're the same like kind, just two different shades. So I'm using the e.l.f. This is the HD Lifting Concealer in Brightening, which is no longer available, which I'm sad about. And this is Fair. So I'm going to take Fair first. I will have to make a trip to Ulta. A few of you guys have recommended some things for me. Thank you for that, because when this is out, I am going to be so sad. As well as buying a few. I think it's like LA. Someone recommended, I think it's like LA Girl or LA Splash. I don't remember. But I did have it written down, so I will be ordering online for that too. Now, I just kind of applied both of them because I didn't really want it to be too light and I didn't really want it to be the exact color as my foundation, so kind of mixing them both together. And I'm ever so carefully going to go right next to that gel liner that I applied. There we go. Awesome. Okay, so what I'm going to go ahead and do next is apply my blush. Now, the blush that I'll be using is a MAC blush. This is the Beauty Powder Blush in Personal Style, which is kind of like, it looks like it's matte, but there are like, I mean, there's a little bit of shimmer, but really it doesn't pick up at all. So let's see here. Yeah, it just says Beauty Powder Blush, so it's not like a special kind. Now, I'm kind of in love with a new brush that I've been using. I've had it for a little bit. This is the Urban Decay Blush Brush. When I'm going for like a soft look, this is like the perfect brush for that. There's that. Now, what I'm going to go ahead and do next is do a highlight. And for that, I'm going to use two different products. The first one, I'm actually going to use that same contour palette from e.l.f. that I used earlier. And I'm going to take the lightest shade in here and just kind of apply that right here on top of the cheekbones. I'm saving a little bit of space underneath my eye. What I'm going to do is like wipe off the excess from this brush, and I'm going to take the e.l.f. HD powder here in Corrective Yellow, and I'm literally grabbing a very, very small amount for this. But what I'm going to do is just kind of pat it right underneath my eye just to kind of help it set. And it's going to kind of blend into that nice, like, small amount of shimmer that we have on the cheeks. That way it looks a little bit more natural and not so placed there. Okay. Now, I know I'm getting fancy with the multiple stuff here, but what I'm going to go ahead and do is take a highlighter blush, I guess. I think it's a blush, but I use it as a highlighter. It's from Colourpop. It is a Super Shock Cheek. It's a pearlized color in Smokin' Whistles. This is freaking beautiful. I am in love with this color. And I'm going to use just like a flat top small brush to do this with. So I'm going to go in a few circles here. And then I'm going to just very, very lightly kind of create little circles on the top of my cheeks. I'm also going to apply a little bit of this right up here by my brow. Just to catch a little bit of the light. I will be applying it right here on my chin. I'm going to take my finger and apply a little bit right here on my Cupid's bow. And I'm only going to apply a little bit of this like on the very tip of my nose. That way it catches the light. I did not contour my nose, so I will be doing that real fast. I usually leave that to the end. I don't normally do it. You know, I guess it just depends on how I feel that day. But, you know, I'll go ahead and do it today. So, let's see here. I'm going to grab a Sigma brush for this. It is going to be my Precision Angled P84 brush. And I'm only going to get like the very edge of this brush into one of the shades from my contour palette from e.l.f. I'm going to go ahead and blend that out a bit. Awesome. So I'm going to use the e.l.f. Hydrating Undereye Primer because I'm using a liquid lipstick that is matte. And my lips need as much moisture as possible. or else it like kind of catches in all like the dry spots and is basically no fun. So literally this is what I use every time I use like a liquid lipstick, be it Lime Crime, Kat Von D, Anastasia Beverly Hills, a Colourpop, you name it. Okay, the actual liquid lipstick I'm using this time is from Colourpop. It's in the shade Tulle. So I'm actually going to grab a lip brush for this. I prefer to use a lip brush with any type of liquid lipstick, and the reason being is it makes the product last a lot longer. Because with most of these, a little bit literally goes a long way. And I get a finer line too, so. And now, you know, with like a lip brush, you can touch up where you need to. Make sure your lips look even, etc. if you're overdrawing. That's kind of what I'm doing right now. So, yeah, this is the finished look. It's pretty simple, pretty basic. I love the colors on the eyes with the lipstick and the blush. Like, it just, I don't know, it's a thing. I love it. So I hope you guys have enjoyed this tutorial. If you guys have any questions, comments, concerns, you guys know how to reach me. And of course, thank you so much for watching, and I hope that you guys have an amazing day.